What's the biggest secret you've been hiding from your partner? Story 1. I have a box of little crochet critters in the garage that I make when I'm bored or in between clients. I let my fiancée know that if anyone at work would like one, she's a hospice nurse, she can just take them from the box, no questions asked. That's what I told her anyway. The secret is that I purposefully make stuff for her to take. I even have a little spreadsheet so I know what animals or colors are the most popular, and make sure that there's always spares. Obviously I don't know who they go to, 'cause of confidentiality. But I try to get as big a range as I can. Story 2. My husband can't whistle. He always tries, but he just can't get it. One day while out hiking with our dogs, the dogs went too far ahead, so my husband tried to whistle for them. The first few attempts nothing happened, so I whistled for them. Apparently my husband was trying to whistle at the same time and he heard my whistle and thought it was him. He was so proud, just grinning from ear to ear. I didn't have the heart to tell him it was me, still don't. It was so cute to see how happy he was. Story 3. I want to marry him much sooner than I thought, but also as an immigrant, I worry if bringing that up will raise any eyebrows and cause him or his family and friends to think that I want to do this to get permanent residence quickly. So I've been working extra hard to qualify for it on my own. Story 4. I don't think his youngest son is his. The story about how this child came to be is very shady, between having his vasectomy reversal and how low he said his count is, combined with the fact that he caught the boy's mom cheating during the time they were trying, and how fast she came back with the paternity results. It all feels very wrong. 13 years later, when we are talking about his youngest, he always brings up how similar they look. I just agree. This kid looks nothing like him or his other two kids. My boyfriend is 5 feet 7 inches, blue eyes, black hair with a lean build. The youngest is already over 6 feet tall with brown eyes, brown hair, and kinda chubby. His mom is very slim, blue eyes and blonde hair. He wanted to get them all 23andMe for Christmas. I talked him out of it. I think it would ruin Christmas for him if it came out. Story 5. That I have a large secret candy stash I hide far away from him in my closet, hoarding it like a little candy dragon. I love him. I have some chocolates accessible in the freezer if he wants some. I share certain varieties I buy, in small doses. But I keep all my good shit locked away because he will absolutely inhale all of it in a week. If I tell him to replace it, he will. But sometimes it takes him a while and I don't want to wait 3+ days for a refill of my damn candy. Some of the stuff he's eaten is hard to find, like certain sugar-free gummies I've had to buy across 3 to 4 different places, or international treats only sold at one market in the area. And so he won't replace it, just reimburse me. But it's still annoying that I have to go out and find it again. He's thin and fit, so feels no guilt or anything about swallowing half a bag of candy in one sitting. But I'm losing weight, and cherish the sweets I have infrequently. It makes him for whatever reason think that it can take me 5 months to finish a bag of Dove chocolate. I even have some Easter candy left in my stash. Of all the flaws for someone to have, it's not so bad. He at least tries to replace or reimburse. But it's easier that I just keep my sweets to myself and share small portions. Story 6. We both recently got into Magic the Gathering. For me, it was a return after 25 years of not playing, and she was new. We both were looking for a hobby to enjoy together to help us get our minds off of the devastating 2 years we'd just fought through. It was 2 years of cancer diagnosis, heartbreaking surgeries, doctor visits, losing her 2 dogs, they were her children. All while trying to finish the last year of her PhD in cancer research of all things. Anyhow, the cataloging, sorting, playing, trading, and collecting seemed to put her in a quiet place where she could turn her thoughts to something else and just heal. She even played in her first tournament at Gen Con. She jumped in with both feet and opening booster packs and finding cards with value seemed to light her up in a way I hadn't seen since we started down our war on cancer. The problem is, she never seemed to have the luck I did with finding chase rares. And with the latest set being totally her jam, small cute animals, she wants them all. So I ordered a bundle of collector boosters and the very expensive raised foil rabbit card she was looking for. Cut open a booster, slid it in, and resealed it well enough so she wouldn't notice. Seeing her open that pack, hearing her voice shake in concert with her hands, and watching that fleeting panic that she'd damaged the card transition to pure joy was incredible. I feel a twinge guilty about it, but I'll take the secret with me to my grave. She thinks she got super lucky with finding an incredibly rare card. It's a small thing, but it meant the world to her. Story 7. If I'm stuck on a game, she will casually suggest things I could try without telling me the answer. She will go very quiet, go on her phone and then say, I wonder if this game has any buffs to your lightning damage. Or, ooh, a dragon. He looks like he wouldn't like ice damage very much. I know she's Googling things, but I pretend like I don't because she gets so excited when her hints work, and she thinks she helped me work it out organically. Story 8. I know my husband eats meat despite his insistence that he's vegetarian like me. I don't care, but it's cute that he doesn't think I know. I've been veggie for over 20 years, but one of his former co-workers told me he saw him eating pepperoni pizza, and ever since then I've noticed small meat escapades, and it's so adorable that I can't even call him on it, because it doesn't matter to me, but I know he would be embarrassed. Story 9. One of the biggest secrets I kept from my partner involved a time in my life before we met. A few years back, I was really struggling financially. I ended up racking up a significant amount of debt trying to stay afloat. By the time I met my partner, I was just beginning to get back on my feet, and I was too embarrassed to share how bad things had been. I'd always told myself I'd wait until the right moment to tell them. But as our relationship grew, so did my fear of their reaction. It wasn't just about the money. I was afraid they'd see me differently, as someone who didn't have it all together. I knew that honesty is key in a relationship, but I kept delaying the conversation, convincing myself that I'd tell them once things were more under control. The weight of that secret was heavy. Every time we talked about the future or made plans, I felt a pang of guilt, knowing I wasn't being completely transparent. There were close calls when I almost blurted it out, especially when we talked about big financial decisions. But I held back, worried about the fallout. Eventually, I realized that this secret was eating away at me, and it wasn't fair to either of us. The day I finally confessed, I was expecting anger or disappointment, but instead, my partner just listened. They were more understanding than I could have imagined, and together, we worked out a plan to handle things. It was a huge relief, but I'll never forget how difficult it was to carry that secret, and how much easier it would have been if I had just been honest from the start. It taught me that in a strong relationship, it's better to face tough conversations early on, rather than letting them grow into something bigger and more daunting. Story 10. I told her my body count when she asked randomly, years ago before it became trendy. And I had been in the military for a while, so I thought she meant real body count, as in kills while I was in. I told her 22 confirmed, and she giggled and repeated confirmed. That made me mentally giggle like sure, okay. I didn't ask her back because I wouldn't have assumed that a waitress had killed anyone. Years later, when I learned the other, more cultural definition, I couldn't tell her. Story 11. Her depression is really freaking hard on me, but I somehow put up with it. She can be really awful to me sometimes, but I have gotten used to it. I can't leave because she can't make it on her own. I hope she passes on long before me so I can maybe enjoy the last years of my life happily. We are in our 50s, been together for 23 years. Story 12. That I was hesitant about marrying him because the idea of losing him someday is so incredibly painful and heart-shattering to me. When my grandma died, my grandpa was and still is a shell of who he was. He was absolutely devastated at her death. He's not the same person he used to be. They were together for over 50 years. That kind of grief and pain scares the shit out of me. It is very selfish of me to say, but I hope I pass first because the idea of living without him is incomprehensible to me. At the end of the day, though, I think having loved deeply and lost is preferable to not loving at all. Story 13. I'm tired. Honestly, very tired. Nothing I do seems enough. No amount of money I earn or bread I put on the table is ever enough. But whenever I speak up, it's just, don't be a pussy and deal with it. Even for my own siblings. I've sacrificed my entire 20s and early 30s for her to work my butt off so she can quit her job, buy a nice car, and go yoga with her rich mates every day. My physical and mental health is taking a toll, but God knows how long I can take it. Therapy doesn't even work these days, and I don't know if I have the strength to carry on. But I know I've tried. Story 14. The biggest secret that I've been hiding, and still continue to hide, is the fact that I won the equivalent of $7 million in the lottery. The money is deposited in a separate account to which only I have access. All correspondence related to it is directed to my company's address. I trust my wife and I love her deeply, but I don't want to unsettle her. I've read so many stories about people losing their minds after winning a substantial amount of money. She believes that I earn a good salary. I still continue to work professionally, and I make every effort to ensure that we both have a respectable, normal life. Story 15. That my insecurity is so painful, and I feel like lump screaming from the inside. I hide so many feelings about my insecurities all the time. Inside, I'm so convinced that I'm not good enough for anyone. Who could be with me and want that? I dated a few guys who just didn't like me but kept dating me. Does anyone like me? Outwardly, I do weird things like look away when we pass an attractive woman, and there is no amount of reassurance anyone can give me. It's me. All of me. I'm a people pleaser to the max, and I'm so insecure that if I fall out with people, totally normal thing to do, I will obsess over how people don't like me because I'm not likable. It's a war in my head. He knows I'm insecure, but he knows a small fraction of what I feel. Story 16. That I'm halfway checked out of the relationship. After 9 years, his porn addiction has destroyed me mentally and I really can't find myself attractive anymore. I'm on a new path to loving myself after he promised he would change, for the I don't know how many times. And if he decides that porn is more important than my mental health again, I will be done with him. I'm tired of giving him chance after chance. I truly hope he realizes this is his last chance before he messes up and loses a woman that has truly loved him. Story 17. I don't like the way he folds my laundry, but I will never tell him that. He's very insistent upon helping me do little tasks when he can tell I'm overwhelmed. And I'm so incredibly grateful for him and all he does that I don't even care that the shirts he folds don't match the rest of them, or that he put my jeans in the wrong spot, because the incorrectly folded clothes are just another little sign of his love for me, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. Story 18. I don't like his pea and ham soup. I feel awful about it because he's a really good cook and meal prepped them. I'm just so sick of them, and there's still a bunch in the freezer he wants me to eat. I've actually thrown a couple away and just bought lunch. I'm going to try and eat them because I feel like a scumbag. Story 19. We're going to Italy next spring. I'm surprising him with a vow renewal and flying out our original photographer to retake our wedding photos. We love them but have both lost weight and want to retake them when we're more confident and comfortable in our bodies. He has absolutely no idea that any of this is happening except for us being in Italy. Story 20. I know all of the details surrounding his mother's death. She passed from cancer, but it was bad. He knows what he needs to do. The rest would only serve to break his heart. I think the only person who knows as much as me is his dad. But even then, I'm not sure he quite understands exactly how traumatic it was. I'll never share because I know she wouldn't have wanted them to suffer with that information. And they don't need that. Story 21. My husband is a good man. He took care of my siblings' university education and my parents financially. He's loving, sweet, and caring, most of all very generous. He's a philanderer. Throughout the years, he's had multiple affairs with men and women. One-night stands, casual hookups, you name it, he's had it. My husband is very smart, but uses the same passcode every time he upgrades phones. Through the years, I managed to get access on his WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, personal, work emails. The first time I discovered this, I'm hurt, crying about it every time. But as time went by, it made me numb. Whenever I have the chance, I screenshot the convo and photos and I would send it to myself and print them out. I have 3.5 binders full of these printouts and a flash drive full of videos. I'm at the end of my rope. I'm at my breaking point. One day soon I will do something about it. This promise I repeat to myself over and over again. Story 22. A few weeks ago, I placed a mobile McDonald's order, using the app to use the discount, to get breakfast for our son, and my husband was going to pick it up on his way home. I ordered him a big breakfast with hotcakes. My son eats the hotcakes and hash browns, my husband eats the rest. When he got home, he was upset because he had to argue with the lady at McDonald's to get the hotcakes we ordered and paid for. She insisted we didn't order hotcakes, he insisted we did. Eventually, they gave him the hotcakes and apologized to him. I discreetly checked my order in the app and discovered I did not in fact order the hotcakes, just the regular big breakfast. I will never tell him it was really my mistake. I'm taking that to my grave, but I do wish I could apologize to the lady at McDonald's. Story 23. That I see through all their lies. My girlfriend and I are in a happy relationship, but from the start there have been things that I found out. Pretending to not find old chats, saying that she never liked to party, photoshopping her photos, posting bikini photos after she had told me that only I should see her that way weeks before, explaining high snap scores with video snaps while she had saved lots. It's very frustrating to keep on seeing things she isn't honest about while trying your best, and telling her that she can tell me anything, and I just want to get to know everything about her. I just try to ignore and forget now because they haven't had any actual impact on our relationship in real life. I know it's her fault, but eventually she did nothing serious and it's just stress in my mind. Story 24. I know she lies to me about her self-worth. In truth, she feels inadequate and undeserving. Most days I see her silent struggle and just try to make her feel safe, healthy, heard, and desired. I only talk with her about her own anxiety and depression when she brings it up. Sometimes I envy her therapist because I want to be the hero that she needs. I suppose that means that I feel inadequate too. Her suicide attempt got her taken away to a psych facility last year. I wrestled the blade out of her hands while she begged me to just let her kill herself. That experience haunts me every day, and I have never told anyone because I want that reality to just disappear. Together 30 years, married 24 years, 6 children, reached highest goals for education, prosperity, and romance, but declining health is catching up to us. Story 25. How much working the job I work is hurting me. I work overnights, and the isolation, no sun, and repetitive mindless work creates a perfect miasma of brain weirdness and overthinking that results in me being almost constantly idly suicidal while on the clock. I've managed to bring it down from the active suicidality and attempt on my own life that happened earlier this year. And this job will only last until we move at the end of the year. But it started when I got the job in 2022, and until recently had only gotten worse. I feel guilty about it because he's disabled and does what he can to help around the house and support me. And he's generally a wonderful person and a delight to spend time with. But he does not and is currently incapable of contributing financially. I'm the one keeping us fed and housed right now. But doing so makes me want to die. At least it usually subsides by the time I get home. I confess the aforementioned attempt to him, but I can't talk about my current, persisting feelings.